Hello and welcome back into the Red Zone, our 8th episode of the season, and thus, of course, the 8th winning edition as the Cardinals stayed perfect with a 59-0 win over the North Park Vikings this weekend at Benedetti Worley Stadium, their 17th consecutive win on home turf. The Cardinals also set a new program record with a 4th consecutive shutout, while on offense, quarterback Luke Lanin had a hand in 5 touchdowns, with his feet responsible for 3 of them. I'll break down yet another outstanding Cardinals performance with head coach Brad Spencer and be joined by 2 more standouts from the Cardinals' impenetrable defense, linebacker Sam Taviani and cornerback Antwain Walker, who's new to the program this season after transferring from Northern Illinois University. But first, let's look back at the weekend and a gorgeous fall day in Naperville, complete with a picture-perfect North Central victory. The alternating home and away games continued down the stretch of the regular season for the North Central Cardinals as they took the field at Benedetti Worley Stadium on an absolutely gorgeous October afternoon in Naperville, looking to improve to 8-0 on the season as they took on North Park, against whom the Cardinals offense has exploded in recent years. Also on the line, a potential program record of 4 consecutive shutouts after holding Carroll, Milliken, and Wash U all scoreless. After a long pass on the first play that unfortunately saw Jacob Parody leave with an injury, sophomore quarterback Luke Lanin scrambles for a touchdown to give the Cardinals an early lead as he used a couple pump fakes to freeze the defense. On their next drive, Lanin showed his elusiveness again with another scramble for a big gain, this one aided by a downfield block from senior running back Ethan Greenfield. Then, on his first carry in nearly a month after missing 3 games with an injury, Jordan Chisholm charges through the Viking defense for a touchdown to double the lead and shows once again just how hard he is to bring down. Next drive, and it's Lanin hitting the gas again, once again using a pump fake to completely freeze a defender, and it was smooth sailing from there. 34 yards on his second rushing TD of the day, as he and the Cardinals were already running away at the end of the first quarter, leading 21-0. The Cardinals were a bit depleted at receiver, requiring the likes of John Michael Scumaci to step into unusual roles like returning punts. Scumaci with a great return here to put the Cardinals offense right back in business. A couple plays later, Lanin finds Rory Hills open in the end zone on a well-run route for the Cardinals' first passing touchdown of the day and Hills' first TD reception of his career. Speaking of first career touchdowns, the Cardinals' defense didn't want to be left out on the scoring. Zach Orr with a pick 6 on his team-leading 4th interception of the season, all in the last 5 games. The sophomore's fantastic year just keeps getting better. When the Cardinals offense got back on the field after a long break, Lanin made it a hat trick of rushing touchdowns for himself. He rushed for 102 yards on just 5 carries and used his feet to carry the Cardinals offense in this one. But he is still pretty good at throwing the ball too, connecting on a 56-yard touchdown pass in the third quarter to Jake Lynch for Lynch's first career touchdown reception. Everyone who was called upon to step up, doing so and then some for the Cardinals offense. The second team defense was once again tasked with maintaining a shutout, and senior Garrett Fiducia makes a great grab here to help do just that. Another takeaway for the Cardinals secondary. After a Tanner Raines field goal, sophomore running back Joe Sacco would add the final touchdown of the day for North Central, his 4th score of the season. North Park making a final late push to get on the scoreboard, but it's another takeaway and another game-sealing interception, this one by Jamar Daniel. It's his first career pick to close out a day of firsts. And speaking of which, the Cardinals do set a new record with a 4th straight shutout. 59-0 the final score as a season of dominance continues. It's starting to feel like a bit of deja vu lately with Cardinals football. The offense scores almost every time they touch the ball, and the defense shuts down the opposing offense, rarely lets them even cross midfield, and when they do, there's usually a turnover not too far away. So we welcome in head coach Brad Spencer. And Brad, I know for some fans, some of us watching as outsiders, these games can start to bleed together a bit because they are so similar. As you think back on this series of performances, do they run together at all for you?
Maybe just our opponent's score, but no, each one is a new game and a new challenge. This week, our defense got the historic fourth shutout, so we're super happy for them. Offensively, we were efficient. It was a little bit of a flip of the week before in terms of time of possession and plays. Our offense had 59 points. I guess 52 points, but on 46 plays. Our defense, 3 turnovers, a touchdown themselves. They defended 78 plays, and they were on the field almost 40 minutes of the game. Offense was only on the field 20 minutes. So kind of the word in our meeting rooms Sunday night was efficiency, doing what we needed to do. Defense, we know the things we need to work on to improve going forward. Got to get off the field on third down. But when they're doing the things they're doing, stopping the run and taking the ball over and scoring, you can't really argue with that.
I think another question a lot of outsiders would be asking is, after that 4th straight shutout, first time in program history, is your defense ever going to give up a single point ever again? Because it feels like they might not.
I hope not. You're not going to lose if you do that, but our defense is doing a great job. Guys are really stepping up and making plays. We've had a couple of guys injured, so some younger kids have had to step in, and they've done a great job making plays. But everything's revolving around our strong defensive line, solid linebacker play, and then our D-backs are being opportunistic, intercepting the football, taking it away. It's just been a lot of fun to watch. Coach Durking, our entire defensive staff does such a great job preparing those guys every single week, and we're starting to see the fruits of that labor.
You mentioned the different levels of the defense all contributing in their own ways. On the record front, this team has set a lot of records in recent years with how well the team has played. A lot of records, though, that have been individual in large part. Does this record, do you think, feel different to check off, given that so many different players have had such a large role in making it happen?
I think that's what's so great about football, and particularly defensive football. If you have one guy do the wrong thing on defense, you're going to be at risk to give up an explosive play, potentially a touchdown. Offensively, you can get away with a guy on the backside who, if he does something wrong, you can still have a positive play. On defense, you can really get hurt. So it's just great to see all 11 doing the right thing, running the football, doing their job. It's great to see our coaching staff putting them in a place to succeed and win and take advantage of the talent that we have and what the guys on the field are good at.
We did see North Park get into Cardinals territory several times, particularly in the second half, but then we saw them turn the ball over on down several times, forced by the defense. We saw a few turnovers, including yet another game where there's a turnover in the end zone near the end. Jamar Daniel gets the pick this time. How would you describe the bend but don't break attitude the defense was showing in the second half?
Yeah, and you saw it against WashU as well with the 2 turnovers in the red zone. So certainly like to not let them in there. Our defense knows that we've got to be better on third down. At some point during the game, I think I said I feel like our defense has been defending 3rd and 4 every single play. They were 9 of 21, so that's higher than we want to be. They were 1 of 6 on 4th down. Give them credit; they did a good job. They had a lot of conversions, but at the end of the day, our defense stepped up and made the plays that they need to make to get that 4th shutout.
So let's talk about the offense. 59 points, as you mentioned, on the board, 52 of which were to the offense's credit. After an early injury to Jacob Parody in this game, you were basically without your 4 top receivers if you looked at the depth chart at the start of the season. How did that affect the way you approach the rest of this game from an offensive perspective?
Sure. Well, we always say next man up, and we've got to play to our standard. And fortunately, some younger guys, Rory Hills, Jake Lynch, John Michael Scumaci, all stepped up and really did a great job. Carried the weight. You got to see them make a couple of plays themselves. Of course, with our running game and with Luke's ability to run the football, we felt like we could stay in our game plan and do the things we need to do. But it was great to see some guys, be able to step in and do the job.
Last year against North Park, we saw both Ethan Greenfield and Terrence Hill rush for over 100 yards. This year, it felt like North Park just made a decision, we're not going to get beat on runs between the tackles. What did you see from their defensive front? What were they doing that made it hard to find those yards where you guys normally find so much success running the football?
Right. Part of that could be some of the guys we had out on the perimeter, just putting more hats in the box. But as we saw, with Luke, 5 carries for over 100 yards, few touchdowns, he made them pay, and that's kind of the other part of the offense is if it's not Greeny or T. Hill, then Luke can certainly make him pay. And he did a great job making his reads, being patient, not pulling the football where he shouldn't, but just trusting his eyes and doing what he needs to do, and it eventually opened up for some big plays for us.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to ask about that. You're a little depleted at receiver. The running game isn't working maybe as well as you would like. And in the end, none of that almost matters because you have a quarterback like Luke Lanin who's so versatile and ends up being responsible in one way or another for 5 of the touchdowns.
Right, yeah, waiting for a few receivers to get healthy again here at the end of the year. But Luke did a great job being efficient. He was 9 of 12 in the pass game. His one play, I think, on the whole day, we want back that play right before half, we threw an interception. But other than that, he did a great job managing the offense, managing our tempo, and making sure that we were successful in the red zone and on third down.
We saw several first-time touchdown scorers in this game.
Yeah.
You mentioned Rory Hills and Jake Lynch already. Of course, Zach Orr getting the pick 6 for his first career score. Are you ever surprised at all by the guys who end up making the plays that change a game? Because it seems like every week there's somebody new who we really haven't mentioned yet in the season stepping up in a huge way.
Not surprised. I mean, we see them every single week in practice, and if they're in a backup role or even a starting role, they're doing their job, doing what they need to do. A lot of times football, you just have to wait for the ball to come your way. You got to wait for that door to open, and what we tell our guys is just be ready. You never know when the opportunity is going to come, and when it does, you got to be ready to make the play, and that's what those guys did. It was fun to see Jordan Chisholm get in the end zone as well. Certainly any time a defensive guy can get in the end zone, it's exciting and a lot of fun, but gives that credit. It was a heck of a play. It was one-handed interception, and then he did the rest. So he's been playing really well. The last few weeks he's been challenged by our defensive staff, Coach Durking, and he's stepping up in a big way.
So this week, Illinois Wesleyan on the road, the final road game of the regular season, maybe the final road game of the entire season, period. Mm-hmm. They're having a bit of an interesting year. They're coming off a narrow loss to Augustana after blowing out Carthage. What are you seeing on film from them? What are you expecting them to present that could potentially be a challenge down in Bloomington on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, they're a good football program. Their coach has been in this league forever. He's a good football coach. They have a good staff. They do a great job of putting their players in a position to succeed. So like each week, we've got to be ready to block and tackle, play really hard for each other, be in the right spot. And do our jobs. A lot of players from the central Illinois area, so we'll have a good crowd following the Cardinals this week. But they're a good football team. They're doing a nice job. They've got some good players in their skill positions that can really hurt you if you let them. So we got to be at the top of our game.
It is time to check the tape as we do every week with Coach Spencer. And Coach, I want to start with Jordan Chisholm, who returned this week after missing 3 games injured. And the first time he gets his hands on the football, he finds his way into the end zone. Yeah,
it was great to see Jordan out there and playing and dressed and ready to go. He's had a good couple of weeks of practice, just had to get him back from his injury. But he did a great job finding the hole. Our offensive line did a nice job adjusting to their blitz and handling their guys on the edge, and Jordan did the rest there.
Next, we saw some new faces at wide receiver this week, including Rory Hills, who gets his first ever receiving touchdown. Great timing on this route, which is particularly impressive given that he's not a guy who normally starts. How would you describe the chemistry Luke Lanin has been able to build with the entire receiver room, not just the top couple guys?
Yeah, I mean, the great thing about that room is it's a number of guys who are older. They've been around the program. They've been putting in the work in the offseason, in the summers, throwing with Luke at 7-on-7. So it doesn't surprise me that they had their timing. We saw the last time we were down there that he had some softer coverage, so we decided to go after it, and Luke did a great job putting it on him. Roy did a nice job winning leverage and getting open there. But that whole room, it's older guys. They love Cardinal football. They love their teammates. And they've been patient with waiting for their opportunities, and unfortunately when they've got them, they've done a nice job capitalizing.
Speaking of older guys taking advantage of an opportunity, Garrett Fiducia makes the latest of a series of one-handed interceptions by the secondary. How cool is it for him to have a moment like this as a senior on the second-team defense?
Yeah, Garrett's he's a great teammate, and I joke with him that he's a Swiss Army knife. He plays just about all the positions at our second and third level on our defense. So it was great to see him make that play, get a little bit of recognition. He made another play later in the game on fourth down. He's a fun kid to be around. He's a fun kid to have on the team. He's a great teammate. I know he's really well liked. Always does what we ask. So it was really a lot of fun to see him make that play.
Well, safe travels for you, the team, and everyone going down to support the Cardinals in Bloomington this weekend, but we'll look forward to having them back at Benedetti Worley Stadium for hopefully a good run of games after that. Head coach Brad Spencer, thanks as always for coming on the Red Zone.
Sounds good. Thanks, Alex.
Opportunity is everywhere. It is in everything and within everyone. Your opportunity is at the center of all that we do, so that you can exceed your personal best.
Welcome back to the Red Zone. Another week, another win, and another episode where I'm joined by two members of the Cardinals' historic defense. This week, linebacker Sam Taviani and cornerback Antwain Walker. Guys, welcome to the show, and Sam, welcome back for, I think, your fourth appearance here on the Red Zone.
Thanks for having us.
So, 4 shutouts in a row. Is this something you guys were talking about in the week leading up to the game, that this would be a school record? How much fun are you guys just having in general with how well the whole defense is playing right now?
Yeah, it's been great. It's been really historic. I mean, I remember last year we were trying to get a ton of shutouts too, but this year, we're just taking it week by week, and we're trying not to put too much pressure on ourselves because that'll just create too much pressure for ourselves. So we want to just take it week by week and just play our game and play to the standard and win games.
Yeah, I would say the same. Like, honestly, it's been a lot of fun to be able to be a part of a historic defense like ourselves. I mean, it just shows like all of our hard work that we put in throughout the week. Coach Dirk and the defensive staff does a great job of preparing us for each and every game, and we just go out there and execute the game plan, and it's a lot of fun.
And it's also been fun to see every week. It feels like there's different guys who are stepping up making plays, especially with the turnovers, and especially the second team unit after you guys are off the field holding those shutouts. So what's it been like, especially in those second halves, being able to cheer for each individual guy's different accomplishment as every week somebody else is stepping up?
Yeah, it says a lot about our defense that we're not just the starters are good, but our whole unit is good. That's a lot of credit to our coaching staff and everyone that puts in time for the game plan and everything else. And I also think it's a big credit to our D-line, because football is won at the line of scrimmage, and when you have a really good defensive line and they're playing well, it makes our jobs a lot easier in the secondary.
Yeah, I would say like it just shows like how like well put together we are as a defense. Like Coach Dirk and the staff always say to us, what I'm saying, like there's no like every guy matters. And it's showing up each and every week that every guy matters, and every guy puts in the work each and every day at practice to be able to show, like it shows how strong we are as a defense by when backups or anyone else gets into the game, and they really execute their job.
Sam, I've talked to a lot of what I guess I'd call your proteges already on the show this year, guys who have brought you up a lot as someone they've looked to as a leader this year. Being the only senior in the defensive backfield, what's that experience been like as a guy who's being looked to for guidance by so many of the players around you?
Yeah, last year it was a lot different. I had guys like Beasley, Dakota, Ben, and Storm that I could look up to, and I just tried to take in everything that they were trying to teach us, and I tried to emulate that for this year. And this year I'm just trying to set a good example for the young guys and really show them what Cardinal football is all about, and trying to play the best defense that we can and trying to be the best leader that I can out there.
So each of you, kind of on that note, have had to build new chemistry this year with the unit around you. Sam, as you mentioned, there's a lot of guys who've changed in the starting lineup with all those seniors graduating, and Antwain coming into the program. Obviously, it's a fully new experience for you. So how would you guys describe the way you've tried to go about building that chemistry this year with the new teammates you find yourselves surrounded by?
I would say the biggest thing is like trust, like trusting our, trusting each other that we're gonna do our job, and I think that's where the chemistry comes from. And the most important part, I think the chemistry really comes from like the locker room and outside of football, how much we really all love each other and how much we would do anything for each other and we have each other's back. And I think that's what, like shows is our love for each other.
Yeah, I think that we're just so bought into the program and the system, and we love the coaching staff and we respect everything they do, that we want to play hard and play well for them because we work so hard during the week and we just want to put the best product out there on the field on Saturdays.
So Antwain, you don't see a lot of guys on Division III rosters with Division I football experience. I'm sure you had no shortage of options when it came to continuing both your football career and your education. So in the end, why North Central?
I would say I chose North Central because, I sat out of football for like a year and a half, 2 years, and I was looking for a place that was close to home and a place that I could win and be a part of a winning program that has a great culture. And I didn't really know much about North Central before I chose here, but for some reason I had a feeling in my gut that it was going to be something special. And then I had like some Julian Bell, him and I grew up together throughout high school, and he had nothing but great things to say about North Central, and I trust him, and then came here, and it's just been unbelievable. Like this is what college football is about, and this experience is amazing, and I have a lot of fun and meet lifetime people.
And building on that, what would you say you feel like your previous experience has brought to the program, and what has the program taught you in the last 8 weeks over this season?
I would say this program has taught me a lot, like I would say about like myself, in the aspect of like, building myself to be the best man that I can be, because, like we have Cardinal annual meetings, we have like just amazing coaches that are great men and young men as players to build those relationships with, and I would feel like this program has done more for me like off the field than on the field, and on the field I would say like this Coach Durkin and defensive staff has done a great job with like building my football IQ. Like playing at the Division I level, it was just a lot about like talent, and here it's about like football IQ, and I really enjoy that.
So Sam, obviously kind of the opposite for you. You're not new to the program. You've been around here quite a while at this point. So with that perspective, what makes this year's defense special as you set these records, and what makes this year's team special? How does it stand out from the other national championship contenders that you've been a part of?
Yeah, I think it stands out just because of what the coaches have been doing, and they're putting us all in the right positions at the right time, and they're putting together a really good game plan every week, and that helps us. And like I said, we just want to play hard for these coaches, and like Antwain was saying, we love each other, and we just want to play hard for each other. And again, credit to the D-line. They've been playing awesome this year, and that makes everyone else's lives a lot easier.
So some fun questions to finish things up, some quick hits here in the Red Zone. Normally I don't ask about football, but I do have a couple football-related questions this week. First, given that this week's trip to Illinois Wesleyan might be the last true away game you guys play all season, do you have a favorite place you've played on the road in your career?
Yeah, mine would have to be 2019 Shenandoah, Texas for the national championship. That was just an amazing experience all around. The weather was beautiful, and that field was awesome. And of course, winning the national championship was amazing, so that'd have to be mine.
I would say mine would be my true freshman year at Northern Illinois when we played BYU, and we ended up winning by 1 point. That was an amazing, like, you just see the mountains behind the field and like the atmosphere. They have great culture there, and it was a lot of fun to win at their place.
Yeah, that panorama from above the stadium in Provo is definitely one of the coolest views in all of college football. Going back even further, though, we're in the kind of the dog days of Preps football season. The playoffs are underway, whittling down to the state finals in a couple weeks. Do each of you have a particular favorite memory from your days of high school football?
My favorite memory was just our opening home game of my senior year in high school. That was just amazing. I never saw so many fans at our high school for that game, and it was just awesome, and we won the game, and it was just a lot of fun.
Do you remember who you were playing?
I believe it was Lion High school.
I would say my favorite memory would have to be like, so I went to Oswego East High School, and we had this crosstown rivalry between Oswego, and like every year was a lot of fun to be able to like, we had, our attendance was amazing, the atmosphere was amazing, the spirit week leading up to that week was a lot of fun, and even though we never won any of those games, Julian Bell and Oswego, they always beat us, but you know, it was a lot of fun. Like, you know, those are my favorite memories from high school football.
And then finally, so we're taping this actually on Halloween itself, so we're now past Halloween. Those watching this at home, it's November already. So I have to ask, in your guys' view, is it Christmas season yet, or do we have to wait till after Thanksgiving to really get that going?
I think right after Thanksgiving is the perfect time to start playing Christmas music and thinking about Christmas. But anything before that is a little too early.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
Yeah, I would say after Thanksgiving, because like, honestly, Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday, so I love getting in the Thanksgiving spirit before I get into the Christmas spirit.
I'm with you there. Yeah, let's not rush it. Let's appreciate the season, and we don't need snow anytime soon either. So, yeah, let's just keep it rolling. Those 65 and sunny Saturdays for football, we could use a few more of those.
Oh yeah,
down the
those are
stretch
awesome.
of this year. All right, well, Sam, Antwain, thanks so much for taking the time and coming on the Red Zone, and good luck again this week.
Yeah, thank you for
Thank
having
you.
us.
It's time for this week's Red Zone play of the game. And how could it not be the pick six by sophomore defensive back Zach Orr, who makes the one-handed grab to snag the ball out of the air and then takes it to the house for his first career touchdown. It's Orr's team-leading fourth interception of the season, helping the Cardinals to lead the conference in interceptions, and he's been a big reason this defense has made history this season. And that's this week's Red Zone play of the game. Thanks again for tuning in to the Red Zone. 2 more games to go in the regular season, 1 more each on the road and at home. Next, it's a trip to Bloomington, Illinois and Illinois Wesleyan on Saturday, and you can check out the highlights the next day on both nctv17.org and the North Central Athletics YouTube page. The Cardinals' final home game, which will also be Senior Day, is the following week against Augustana. Keep an eye on northcentralcardinals.com for the postseason schedule of all the fall sports, plus news from the likes of cross country and triathlon at Nationals, and the start of winter sports, including wrestling, getting going this week. Thanks again, as always, to Coach Spencer and to Antwain and Sam for coming on the show. Until next week, I'm Alex Campbell. Thanks for watching.